Well, before I begin, I would like to ask Brother to say a quick prayer for us. I know I didn't tell you about that before, but if you could just say a quick prayer, because
Mine is fine.
I'm always used to you saying a prayer before things, so if you could just say one real quick for me.
Merciful Father, loving God, we thank you for this day that we've been working towards. We thank you for the safe arrival of all family visitors. We ask you to bless Kalen and to guide him as he puts together his experiences here at Holy Cross College. Guide him to get the insights that he needs, not only to finish the college successfully, but to go out into the world and continue the good news that he has learned here. We ask all of this in Jesus' name, our Lord and brother. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, brother. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Kalen Saddler. Thank you for coming to my senior capstone presentation. Next month, I'll be graduating from Holy Cross with a business degree, double minoring in sports management and leadership. Today, I'll be talking about my theme, a little bit of my background, why I chose Holy Cross, what Holy Cross has offered me, the Holy Cross pillars, and what's next in my life. So to start, I was born in South Bend, Indiana, 2 minutes down the road at Memorial Hospital. And shortly after I was born, my dad, my family, and I, we moved back to Iowa, where my dad grew up, and I spent most of my childhood there, growing up in Waterloo, in a town where it was an open neighborhood. You walk into your friend's house in the morning, go knock on the door. Is he awake? Can we play yet? And parents would say, of course, come on in, have breakfast, have dinner with the families, and it was just a great small community that I enjoyed growing up into. Shortly, right before I was going into high school, my dad said, son, we're gonna go back to South Bend. And I cried for 2 nights, saying I didn't want to leave. I was afraid to leave my friends and all the family that I had in Iowa, and I just didn't want to go. I didn't know if it was going to be a good thing. I didn't know if it was going to be a bad thing, but I realized it was something that we had to do. So I packed my bags, and we went off to South Bend. I attended John Adams High School, and right after I graduated, I decided to continue my student athletic career at Wartburg College, which is a school back in Iowa. So I just couldn't get away from it. And I spent my first year and a half there. And after the first year, everything was going well. I was enjoying school, I was enjoying soccer, and I was loving it. I was just taking it all in, still learning things, because everything was new to me at the time. And I realized after my second soccer season there that something just didn't feel right. And I spent weeks talking to my best friend John, asking him, what should I do? I'm starting to not enjoy what I love to do my whole life, which is to play soccer. I don't know what I should do, and just asking for his advice. And he said, well, I wouldn't mind if you came back to Holy Cross and went to school with me and played soccer with me. So that sounded like a good idea, not only to play soccer and continue my soccer career, but also to be closer to my family. So after making that decision, I decided to come to Holy Cross. We're asked to create a theme throughout what we thought was throughout our life. And the theme I came up with is titled Good, Bad, Who Knows? And how I came up with this theme was, I remember it goes all the way back to my freshman year of high school when I played golf for the golf team. Wasn't the best golfer. Sometimes hit the ball straight. Most of the time I hit the ball way to the right. And sometimes I hit the ball to the left. But I remember specifically, it was the first couple weeks of practice. My golf coach, Dave Spalding, I'll never forget the man. Every time I hit the ball, he didn't say much, but every time I hit the ball, good, bad, who knows? Hit the ball straight, good, bad, who knows? And didn't say anything else, just walked away. And I'm like, man, what does he mean by this? Why is he saying this to me? I just didn't understand it, but I didn't ask him because maybe eventually he would stop saying it, but he didn't. So one day we were walking to the car, put our clubs up after a round of golf, and I stopped him and I said, look, can you just explain to me why you keep saying good, bad, who knows? So he told me this story, and it goes like this. There was a king and a doctor, And they lived in a palace, and they were best friends, actually. And the king loved to go hunting. And so one day, the king and the doctor went hunting. And while they were in the forest, the king tripped, and he fell, pricked his finger on a bush. And instantly, his finger swelled up the size of his head. And he told his doctor, come over here and take a look at my finger. And all the doctor said was, good, bad, who knows? And so the hunting trip ended. They went back to the palace, and the king went to sleep. The next day he woke up, and it was the size of his pillow. His finger was the size of the pillow. And so he calls the doctor up and said, man, you have to come over and take a look at my finger. I just don't know what's going on. And the doctor comes over and he says, I have some bad news. We're going to have to cut your finger off. And the king is just irate at this point. He's so mad. He's like, man, I told you something was wrong with me. You should have told me yesterday. And the doctor said, good, bad, who knows? So after he takes the doctor takes the king's finger off. The king tells him, you're going to jail. I'm so mad, you're going to jail. And so he sends the doctor to jail. Weeks go by, the king recovers. So this time he decides to go hunting again, but he decides to go by himself. So he's in the forest, he's enjoying his time by himself. The doctor's still in jail. And he hears some rustle in the forest. And out of nowhere, he gets captured by some village people. And they take him back to their village, and they start preparing him for sacrifice. Because in their village, they do human sacrifice. And as they were going over his body, making sure his body was clean, everything was going well, and they could use him for a proper sacrifice, they realized he only had 9 fingers. And they were like, well, we can't use him because in order to be sacrificed, you have to be a perfect human. So they released him, let him go. The king got up, he ran back to his palace, called the doctor, said, look, I need you to get out of jail, right? Let the doctor out. He needs to come over here right now. And he tells the doctor, he said, man, you won't believe what happened. I got captured, but they let me go because I only had 9 fingers. So I want to say thank you for saving my life. And the doctor replied with a little smirk on his face, and he said, well, thank you for saving my life, because if I would have went hunting with you today, they would have used me for sacrifice and not you. So the moral of the story is, unpleasant things happen in life to everyone, but it's the way you respond to them and the way you look at life after things have happened that determines the difference between a positive person and a negative person. And how I relate this back to my life is I've experienced a lot of things that I didn't think were going to go well at the beginning. I was like, man, this is going to be bad, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to keep going, and hopefully things will turn out to be the best. And if I put it back into the golf world, I could hit a great drive, and my second shot, I could scuff the ball, hit the ball way right again. So now I'm relating it back to what my coach told me, good, bad, who knows, because if you don't do something good with what you did the first time, then it doesn't matter. So I use that as my theme in my life, just to take everything as good, bad, who knows, but it's all up to me to make that decision. So the first thing I want to talk about is why I chose Holy Cross. And soccer has been a big part of my life. So the first thing I want to talk about is my soccer team. When I first came here, I was put on the spot the very first day I met the whole team. Coach Omar brought me in here, and the team was struggling a bit academically and got in a little bit of trouble. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened since, so that's a good thing. And he asked me how I felt about that. And honestly, I didn't know what to say. I had a whole bunch of guys here older than me. I didn't know if I should have said, well, I'm disappointed, I don't want to be here anymore. So I kind of just gave a small comment and then left it at that. But as the time went on, Coach Omar saw something in me, and he thought that I could be a leader of the team. Well, I had only been here for 2 weeks, and he already was telling me, next year I want you to be the captain. And I'm like, I don't know how everybody's going to feel about that, good, bad, who knows? So I just want to talk about my team and who I was with the last 2 years of my life. It was a great opportunity for me to show my leadership skills, because if you look right here, just 11 guys. We have Leon, my fellow captain, who's from Scotland. We have Cayetano, he's from Spain. Mikey, he's from Florida, Palm Beach. Ilya, he's from Latvia. Seems like a scary guy, but once you get to know him, he's all right. Bruno, he's from Brazil. AJ from England, along with Beaver, and Harry and Lewis. You have Christian, who's all the way from Chicago. And you also have guys from Africa. You have guys from, like me, from in town. El Salvador, Ecuador. So when I look back on it, me giving that opportunity to not only become the best player that I could be, but also become the best leader that I could be. Being able to tie guys from all over the world to be one, join together, be one, and create a team, create a winning atmosphere, and create a family. I feel like that was one of the biggest accomplishments I had at Holy Cross. Being able to meet people from all over. And with my business degree, I feel like that will help me out in the long run because I now know how to communicate with people from all over the world. I now know what it takes in order to be a leader in situations where I might feel uncomfortable. So that's with my soccer team. The next part I would like to talk about is my faith. Growing up with a faith-based background, I wanted to go to a college where I could still have that religious atmosphere, but not be overwhelmed with it. I know there's schools that say you have to go to church 8 times in a week. You can't miss it or else you're in trouble. Well, the reason why I like Holy Cross is because they give you the freedom to, if you want to practice your faith, you can. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be Catholic. You can be a Christian. You can be Baptist, whatever you want to be. And they still support you. You don't feel overwhelmed with, oh, well, I have to go to church. And a great example I would like to bring up is what we do during the soccer season. It's called, we go to chapel before church. And brother prays for us. He gives us a motivational speech. And even if you don't believe in what he believes, it's still okay because he likes to present in a way where it's not necessarily like he's shoving it down your throat, but he's giving you a guideline of what he thinks is the right thing to do. And it lets you just get touched in with whoever you believe in before a game. And it's just a way to calm yourself that I used, a way to calm myself for nerves. And the last thing I would like to talk about why I came to Holy Cross is my family, of course. So to introduce them, I have my not so little anymore baby sister, Shaylee, who's on my right, my best friend, my father, Shane, who works at Notre Dame in admissions. Big man is what I like. Everybody looks at him as a big man. Great guy. Everyone knows that if you come over to my house, he treats you like you're his son. He might even say a couple jokes about you, and he just would treat you right. And then, last but not least, my main motivator is my mother, Kelly. She's the strongest woman I know. So without them, I don't think I would be here where I am today. So I want to say thank you to them for guiding me along the way. The next 3 things I want to talk about that Holy Cross has offered me is my academics, my internship, and service learning. So for academics, going back to the meeting that I mentioned earlier, the first thing Coach Omar said was, someone can take soccer away from you, but no one can ever take away your education. And when he said that, it really hit me because I never thought that a coach would ever say something like that before. And by that, what I took from it is, one day your soccer career is going to come to an end. If you're making money from playing it, then eventually that money is going to stop. But one thing that no one can ever take away from you is your education. So he said, no matter how good you are, no matter what you do, always go to school, always focus on school first. Because if you don't have school, you can't play soccer. And coming from a coach, I thought that was amazing. I never thought that I would hear that from a coach. So that's one thing that I carry with me every single day. The first class I would like to talk about that made a huge impact on my life so far is interpersonal communications, and tying it back to being able to lead a team full of guys from all over the world. In that class, there was a particular project that really made me step out of my comfort zone with Professor Hoffman, and we had to do a interview with a stranger, someone that lived a completely different lifestyle. And believe it or not, I did find a stranger on Holy Cross College. You do see people you don't see before. I know there's not a lot of students, but it is possible. So I found someone I'd never seen before, and we did an interview. I was nervous to even approach them because I had no idea who they were. I didn't know if they were going to say, oh, well, I don't even speak English. I don't know. So in that class, I learned how important it is. The communication is key to everything that you do. And it's a lot about who you know and how you can communicate with that person. And the next class I would say had a huge impact in my life was coaching theory and practice. During that class, I'd like to mention, I was coaching U11 boys soccer team with my best friend, John Boy, and we were co-head coaches. I'll just put it at that. It wasn't like a head coach or assistant coach. We were co-head coaches just to make him happy. And what was awesome about that class is during that time, I was able to observe the best coaches and their strategies, what they were doing to be successful, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And I was able to take that and implement it into our team. And also, we had a big project which was creating your own coaching theory. And during that time, I got to, mess around with, take bits and pieces from this coach, take bits and pieces from that coach, and bring it to our practice field. And I would like to think it was successful. Coach John had a couple of differences with me, but it is what it is. So those two classes have been a huge part of my academic career and have guided me into my next steps in my life. So the next thing I would like to talk about are the pillars that Holy Cross offers. The first one being service learning. When we had to walk into the classroom and decide which class we wanted to pick and which location we wanted to do, I saw Woodrow Wilson Elementary Center, the Boys and Girls Club of America. And I thought there was no better way to give back to what gave to me so much when I was growing up, having to go to the Boys and Girls Club until 6:30 every night. There was no better other opportunity than this one right here. Going into it, I had never mentored a kid before academically. I worked coaching kids and that part of the field, but I never mentored a kid before. And so I was a bit nervous about doing that. I didn't know if it was going to be a challenge, if it was going to be a struggle, or if it was going to be something that came easy to me. And I knew I could work with kids on the soccer field because that was some way I could relate with them. But I didn't know if I could find that relation in the classroom as well. So the first day comes and everything goes smoothly. I have a group of about 5 or 6 kids, do our vocabulary, we read a little bit, and then we write. And at the end, we have like a social 10 minutes. That's just an hour. But my group was doing fine. And out of the side of my ear, I hear these kids jumping up, going underneath the table, screaming, not doing any kind of work. I'm looking around, and so there was a lady working with them, and after about 2 or 3 weeks, the lady that was in charge, she comes up to me and she says, well, I know you really enjoy working with your group and you guys have a nice bond right now, but I need you to work with someone else. And I thought to myself, I know exactly who she's talking about. She's talking about the group that's been making all the noise and distracting my kids. So I said, okay, I can do that. I'm up for the challenge. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing. I don't know if it's going to be a bad thing. Again, who knows? And so first week, first thing I said to the kids, I'm like, look, this is not going to be the same that you guys were doing before. I can't have that. And they're all looking at me. Now I'm working with a group of 5 to 6 Hispanic kids. So being me, just saying, look, guys, I introduced myself, and the only thing I had to say was I play soccer. And after that, they did not say a word. The only thing we talked about for the first 15 minutes was soccer, and after that, they were reading at 3 grades higher than they were reading before. They were writing complete sentences where before they could only write fragments. And they were just being socially acceptable in the classroom. So I look back at the service learning and I look at it as a time where I had to learn a little bit about myself, being confident, again, being in that uncomfortable situation at first, but being able to break the barrier and connecting with kids. And at this time I started to realize, man, I might have a thing with working with kids, which leads me to my internship at Michiana Echo Soccer Club, which is a local soccer club about 15 minutes away from here. And as you can see, my external evaluator, Bain, Coach Bain, is there giving me a little bit of guidance here and there. But now it was my time to be the head coach of a travel team. I was assistant co-head coach with Coach John. Now it's my turn to be a head coach for the first time ever. Coaching my own team, running my own practices, planning my practices, making sure everyone is doing the right drills, and just building them as a player and a person both on and off the field. Something that soccer's offered me so far in my life. And as you can see, picture on the left is me just talking to a couple of my players. It was really hot, so we had the tent out and telling them just relax for a little bit. And then on the right, it was right before a huge game in a tournament that we actually ended up winning. And an interesting fact, I don't know if this is because of me or if it's because of the players, and I'm going to say it's because of the players. We actually haven't lost an outdoor game in 2 years. The 2 years that I've been with them, we haven't lost a game. And that says a lot about not only me, but the team. That they're buying into what I'm saying. I'm taking what I learned from my interpersonal classes. I'm taking what I learned from my coaching theory classes, and I'm implementing it all into one, and making everything connect. And that was something that I didn't know I could do at first, but as I learned over time that, you know, I do have an insight with kids, and I can connect with them, and hopefully we can continue the streak this next season coming up in the spring, which leads me to what's next in my life. Just a few weeks ago, I got some great news, and that is to be the head soccer coach for the first ever soccer program at Jimtown High School, which is about 30 minutes away. I think this is a great opportunity for me because it gives me a chance to basically just connect everything that I've done before and put it into one. Literally from picking uniforms to telling the athletic director that we need cones, we need pennies, we need everything, goals, nets. It's a great opportunity for me. And I'm very humbled to say that I don't know what's next after that, but for now, I know that it's going to be a great experience. I know that if I put everything together, it'll be something special, and it'll be something that I can learn from. And in the fall, when that time comes, hopefully everything will work out, and if it's going to be a good experience, bad experience, who knows? But what I do know is I'm going to give it everything I have, and I'm going to take everything that I learned throughout my life so far and put it into that. So, thank you.